Very good evening to one and all present here. It is a great pleasure to welcome you all to this important webinar on the Cambridge Assessment for French, where today we'll be focusing on understanding the structure and key components of the Cambridge IGCSE exams, specially tailored to the French curriculum. As educators, we constantly seek to equip our students with the knowledge and skills they need to succeed, not only in their assessments, but also in the overall language proficiency. The Cambridge IGCSE exams are rigorous and comprehensive, testing students on multiple aspects of the languages, on all the four skills of the language: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Well, this webinar will aim to guide us in breaking down these sections so we can better prepare our students for the year-end exams. By understanding the assessment structure thoroughly, we ensure that our teaching strategies are aligned to support students in excelling in the IGCSEs. Let us make this session as interactive and insightful as possible, sharing best practices and tips along the way. With this great welcome note, I kindly invite Dr. Sudha ma'am, the former head Department of French, Mother Kamraj University, to deliver the keynote address.
Thank you, Keba. Good evening, all of you. I'm very happy about the conduct of this seminar after a break of, I think, 3 weeks or a month. We already had one earlier. And now today's is on Cambridge IGCSE exam, French exam, and how to, break these, sit for the exams, how to make the students prepare for these exams. So why is IGCSE exams are so important? First of all, language proficiency. Secondly, academic recognition. Thirdly, cultural understanding. And then the competitive edge it gives you. So language proficiency. Why language proficiency? Because the French syllabus is structured in such a way that it enhances students' proficiency in the French language. And how about academic recognition? All of us know that Francophone countries recognize this syllabus and these exams. So the kids are smart, they prefer to go take exams through this board because they can very easily get into Francophone countries, into universities. Now, how about cultural understanding? The French syllabus is structured in such a way that you are well equipped with the cultural brave situations in a different cultural mode. Then naturally it gives you an edge over the others because knowing French and knowing English, you have an edge over the others and you are personally equipped and it is a big asset in your CV. So now preparing your students for this exam is very important because I know it's not that easy, it's not a cakewalk. You got to really prepare well if you want your students to, sit for these exams and crack these exams. And I think teachers have a real role to play in the preparations of the exams and making your students, do well. And then in between, I just want to put in a short note here. MKU alumni teachers who are working in the Gulf, if anybody is interested, taking up the relay of, training teachers, you can just send me a note, a message, and Mr. Keba and Mr. Jaker will take care of training you so that, you can go ahead, train yourself and conduct more webinars. So thank you, Keba, thank you, Jacob. I'm happy that you're organizing this webinar out of your own accord. It gives me real pleasure. It's such a gratification that you're taking so many initiatives in spite of your busy schedule. So I understand the commitment, the sense of belonging you have to the department, and I always stay in gratitude towards you all. I Welcome all the participants to this webinar. I hope that you enjoy it and reap the best out of it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your wonderful support, guidance, and encouragement words. So I would like to start with the word of Joseph Joubert. Si enseigner, c'est deux fois. S'apprendre, c'est deux fois. So to learn is to learn twice. So it is always we as an educators, we are to be called as the lifelong learners. And I believe that, and I like to keep following up this motto in my life. Well, with this note, we, the alumni of Mother Cambrage University, the French department of Mother Cambrage University, Monsieur Jacob and myself would be taking you through the insightful session about all about the CBSE Cambridge exams. Kindly allow me to share my screen. As you all know that the IGCSE exam, where it comprises of all the four skills of the languages. Where our agenda for today would be more on the syllabus overview, how the content has been created, and how the assessment methods are being practiced, and why the skills are being tested, and how the skills are being prioritized, and going with the paper pattern, and how each paper pattern, based on the skills and based on the rubrics, how they are being tested, and how they are being graded, and what are the important grammar topics for a student of IGCSE to be well prepared of, and what are the vocabulary lists which has been provided by the Cambridge program for grade 10 to be well prepared of. So as you all know that the syllabus overview over here, they expect students to be able to be a good communicator. Well, keeping in mind, they prioritize that still students need to focus on the three C's. They want students to be more of critical thinkers and be a good communicator and being a good collaborative in their teaching and learning. So they ensure that the students at this level are meeting to the level of Adar with some of the elements of Bayan. So students have been well, the curriculum, the syllabus has been designed where students learn about the culture and the society of the French-speaking communities and the Francophone countries. It develops a strong foundation of further study of career opportunities in French as well as the other subjects. Well, when we talk about the content overview, these subjects, the contents, which have been created on five broad topics. Those five broad topics are comes under the core connections of the habitual actions or habituated situations which is happens around us. So, namely to be said, everyday activities, personal and social life, the world around us, the world of work, the international world. On these five core themes, the content has been designed for IGCSE program. When you talk into more about the assessment overview, so as rightly said right in the beginning, students will be tested on the four skills of a language, comprising of listening, speaking, reading, and writing. When it comes to the listening, so students are being provided listen to a number of recordings and answer multiple choice and matching questions. So which carries for 40 marks, where the students have been allowed to take the exam for 50 minutes. So the listening exam, this is the sample paper, which you see that on the screen. So all the instructions have been very clearly provided to the students of what are the questions they need to be answering and how the minutes. The first page consists of more of instruction page. The second page, blank page, is meant for any of the workouts which students need to do is been provided. And they tend to listen a set of questions, a series of questions as a recorded voice, and they allow to give the answer to the multiple choice and matching questions. When it comes to reading, candidates read a number of text and answer multiple choice questions, matching questions as well as questioning requiring short answers. So taking it to the reading paper. So the reading paper comprises of 1 hour duration, where students have been allowed to sit for 1 hour for 45 marks. So they have a series of reading comprehensions. They read, infer, understand, and then they try to answer this following questions. And the questions are mostly based on factual and descriptive type of questions, where with pictorial representation of questions also been provided in certain part of reading comprehensions. When it comes to the speaking part, candidates complete one role play and conversations on two topics. So they are being internally assessed and externally moderated as well. So when it comes to the writing, again, it carries 45 marks, and candidates, the type of questions which is expected at this writing paper, it is where like remplir la fiche formulaire, formulate the fiche, or it could be letter writing, message writings, or writing an article. So these are the types of questions are being expected at for the reading, sorry, for the writing paper. And when you talk about the weightage of the assessments, comprising of all the four skills, the weightage of marks are been bifurcated as 25 percentage in each. So at the total of 100 percentage, the weightage of marks has been created. When it comes to the listening, so it comes to the skills, like how and what areas they have been tested, and what areas of text which has been expected. So they tend to hear short recordings based on everyday situations like shopping and giving directions. Students generally need to listen and comprehend the factual informations. It could be an announcement messages or phone messages, or it could be a common dialogue which happens at a common place. So they tend to listen to these short recordings, and the questions which has been provided to them, like multiple choice or matching text, or one word answers. That is how students have been focused to write on the listening part. So as it's been rightly said, like when students have been given more practice to listening, and they gain confidence in terms of writing as in terms of speaking as well. So we need to emphasize more of listening practice within our classroom teaching. As you know, like there are quite a lot of platforms like TV Sank More than French podcasts, which is available widely. And now AI is ruling quite a lot, artificial intelligence, which is making our thinking visible. So that is more of AI. So now, anything which you put in into artificial intelligence, like ChatGPT or many other artificial intelligence platforms which is available, so it can create any podcast within a fraction of seconds. So we need to make use of, we need to upgrade and upskill ourselves in learning to these type of technologies and using these type of technologies for making our students practice to listening or for reading and writing practices. And comes to the reading part, again, students are being given some of those like advertisements on like signs or public places like streets, restaurants. So students understand those reading comprehensions. As we discussed about more about factual and descriptive type of questions are being expected for the reading, and more pictorial presentations is being provided when it comes to the reading part. Well, when it comes to the speaking, students are engaged in short social exchanges where they discuss about the personal interests and everyday life, including family, hobbies, work. And when it comes to speaking, they need to be mindful with in usage of vocabulary, the sentence structures, the tenses, what they use, and more of connectors are being expected by the examiners. when students are using more of connectors, connectors are the words which try to link ideas accurately. So they have been given more points when they use more of connectors when they speak. And these effective strategies will help them to maintain interaction. And at the same time, students need to be practiced in focusing about the pronunciation. Many times students lack confidence in thinking that, well, my pronunciation wouldn't be correct if I would speak in French. But we need to have that more of listening practices in class. When students tend to have this more of listening practices within the classroom learning setup, and I believe that it gives them a confidence and to read and to speak confidently when it comes to an exam scenario. Well, for the writing part, so as we saw earlier, it has more of filling up of forms, communicating factual informations in written form, and where students have been allowed to create simple phrases, sentences, using more of connectors, and more of these are about the day-to-day practices, day-to-day situations, or habitual situations. Based on that, more of writing text has been provided, whether they need to write a letter or message writing, or like responding to an email, so, or describing about the family, hobbies, travel. So keeping in mind the tense formations, whether they have been asked to talk about the action which is going to take place or the action which has been completed. So either they need to use the perfect tense or to be futur simple. So the knowing about the question, understanding the question, students to be well trained in answering those kind of questions. And there are some questions where students are expected to give a brief, justify the text. So justification, what are the connectors they need to use, and what are the vocabularies need to be used. We'll be discussing that in the upcoming slides. This would take you to a short video where how the speaking assessment is happening in a real scenario. So this short video gives you a complete insight how, because students will be tested, they are being given a candidate cards where where students are being allowed to, they sit for, I mean, it's a mark which is graded out of 40, and 10 minutes, approximately 10 minutes been given for each child to take up this exam. So where the speaking test includes role play, which is approximately for 2 minutes, and they have been given two topics on conversation topics. So each conversation topics where students would be taking 4 minutes and having that conversation with the examiner. Well, before the test would take place, they have been given a preparation time of 10 minutes. So for preparing for the role play, but while preparing with the candidate card, which has been provided to the students to prepare for the test, they are not allowed to make any notes during that period of time. So students take that candidate card for the speaking assessment and they walk into the room. And generally, they are not allowed to write anything on the candidate card. They're not allowed to take any of the materials, as it's been rightly mentioned in the instruction page of the question paper. So let us see how the speaking assessment would take place um, in a real scenario. I hope.
Ça va?
Ça va bien, merci.
Ok. Alors, on va commencer. Alors, vous allez à un centre commercial en France avec votre amie française et je suis votre amie française. Ok? Alors, à quelle heure est-ce qu'on va au centre commercial aujourd'hui?
à midi.
Ok, excellent. Et comment veux-tu aller au centre commercial?
En voiture.
Quelle sorte de magasin préfères-tu et pourquoi?
J'aime les magasins de sport parce que j'aime le sport.
Ok. Et qu'est-ce que tu as fait la dernière fois que tu es allé dans un centre commercial? Et c'était avec qui?
J'ai acheté, j'ai acheté un t-shirt et je suis allé avec ma mère.
Ok. Et qu'est-ce que tu voudrais acheter aujourd'hui et pourquoi?
Aujourd'hui, je voudrais un pantalon parce que je voudrais un pantalon.
Ok.
Well, as you just watched on this video, how the speaking assessment would take place. Well, before I would conclude my part, well, there are a few tips which I could just say. The croissant acronym to be said. C stands for connectors. So we need to keep reminding students, just ensure that whether it's your speaking assessment or whether it is a written assessment, you follow this checklist. Whether students have used connectors, the C stands for connectors, because connectors are very essential for improving the flow of writing. So students need to be encouraged in using variety of connectors, like simple ones like A or C, Bianca, par contre, like more of these advanced connectors. If they need to know how to use these connectors in the sentences, which gives a deeper understanding of the language. Well, um, reasons. So as there are certain type of questions where students need to justify the answers. So to justify the answers, the uh, students need to be taught to use of these expressions like or these kind of justification was pour, enfant de, car, accost de, grâce à. So they need to know the difference between a grâce à, accost de. Is accost is generally used for the negative ones, negative statement. You can also use connectors like Bianca, pourtant to enrich their responses. As an example to be said, like préférez-vous la fête à la maison ou en ville? Expliquez pourquoi. Moi, je préfère la fête à la maison parce que c'est plus intime et de plus c'est moins cher. On peut se relaxer, rester n'importe quelle heure. So some of these, so you can just see they have used more of comparative. So students using need to encourage students when in the sentences when they write use more of connectors, comparative degree, and superlatives in making more meaningful the justifications. Well, the O. So when they write about the reasons, always to train our students to give the opinions as well. So opinions always should align with the tense of the question. Sometimes students not sure about how to give a response. The questions are would be asked in perfect tense, and they tend to, or it's been asked in imparfait or future simple. They tend to respond in different tenses. So students need to know like how to align with the tense. They can just give the responses. Then more of intensifiers to be used like très, beaucoup, assez, and like opinions to add detail, which gives a wider range of vocabularies has to be used. And this even into a speaking as well as written that adds more marks for them. Well, all examiners would expect such things if students have been using these wide range of vocabularies and when they are focused on using of these checklists, of course. And most of the students, the quite common mistakes they make the subject verb agreements when it comes to the perfect tense. So using the past participle agreement, so placing instead of the auxiliary verb avoir or être or reflexive verbs. So they tend to miss out placing the gender agreements, the number and gender agreements. So just the common errors students tend to make. And the star structures. So what do you mean by star structures? Students make use of advanced sentence structures such as après, avoir, à cause de, then making sentences infinitive, plus subject, plus verb. So to highlight more of linguistic skills, students need to be trained up in using these sentence structures patterns. And of course, the adjectives and adverbs where they need to be placed in a phrases. So you need to make understand like, okay, certain adjectives are placed before and after, and the more of adjectives of quality, so-called the beauty, age, number, goodness, and size, they always precedes the noun, and adverbs are placed immediately after the verb that they modify. So they need to know for the sentence pattern correctly. So giving them more practice of these kind of exercises would help them to score up in the marks. Well, finally, to be said, negations. And they, because most students are quite confident in using just no, pas, that's it. So we need to give them more of negative expression like ne jamais, ne plus, ne rien. So giving them more practice of the negative formations. And coming to the tenses, as we discussed earlier, like students, they have been provided the blank page where they can just make a note of like, okay, the question's been asked in le temps présent ou temps passé. So ensure that they tend to answer with the same tenses. And mostly some students, when they have been asked for the speaking assessments and info written, they they forget to make sentences with different subject pronouns, or generally they try to use everything je, and instead of incorporating a range of subject pronouns, they tend to use it. So as an example to be said, like a common to describe about themselves or qu'est-ce qu'on fait pendant le week-end. Je mangeais, j'ai visité le monument, j'ai acheté des souvenirs, j'ai resté. So they tend to use je for every. So instead, need to train the students to make a proper sentence in terms of speaking and for written. Je mangeais des repas typiques en France. Ma famille et moi, nous avons visité le monument célèbre, comme toute la famille a acheté des souvenirs pour des amis. So, making sentence more meaningful and constructive is what we need to train our students always. So, I hope this croissant checklist would have helped you to understand how to train our students, to equip our students for the upcoming exams. Furthermore, I would like to hand over the session to Mr. Jacob to follow up with the remaining sessions as well. Thank you all.
Thank you, Keba. And thank you, Sudha ma'am. Okay, so. Okay. Welcome you all to the second part of this. Let me just take you through a little bit in detail of what are the 4 papers and how do we prepare the students for it? Already Keba has, given an introduction on all this. So first, let me start with the listening. If you look at this, first, let me give an outline and then I will just go into what type of questions they ask in each of these 4 papers. Okay, in the listening, totally you have 37 questions. So where candidates listen to a number of recordings and answer multiple choice, or they have to match, and the candidates have to answer all the questions. And at the end, they give them, it is actually for 40, 50 minutes, and they get, 6 minutes at the end to transfer their answers. So that, like, they can always, when they listen to that, they can just note down the main points, and so that, like, they get the 6 minutes at least for them to, transfer all the answers, so that, they don't miss out on anything. And they first, if you look at it, like, see the question of 1 to 34, it's more of like, they have to shade or choose one correct answer. Whereas, maybe they may have to do two letters, for the questions 35 to 37. Okay. So, and one more thing, it is whenever we practice the students, like, we, practice them like in such a way, they don't use any correction fluid, because it is not allowed in the exams. Nowhere, and also dictionaries are not allowed. So they, so that we just have this, like, let them always use a blue pen or a black ball pen, and also let them not use any correction fluid when they're writing the test, or, so the second part, like, when the paper two, it is all about reading, where the candidates, read a number of text, and answer multiple choice and matching questions. And I will just give you in detail what are the different type of questions they ask, and again, they have to answer all the questions. And where you will have some small comprehension passages, as well as you have different type of questions where they have to just choose the best answer, or they have to match them. Yeah. So the third paper, it is in speaking, you, as Keba has given you an intro, like, this is one I will go into little deep in into this paper, because as an examiner of IGCSE for the last around 15 years at least. So we have noticed one thing, like, see, whenever the students, they come, when they are not aware of what is the pattern, what happens, they get very nervous, like, so they have no, sometimes, like, they start, they press the panic button, and they don't know what to do. And even though they may be very good students, the first, if they are not confident, what happens, they start, like, they mess up, and some of them even stop answering in between. So because it has to be recorded, so they needed to know, like, they have the 10 minutes of preparation time, so where they can use it, like, they can use that time to prepare for the role play, because the scenario, they'll get that they can't write anything in the card, they can't make any notes over there. So they needed to be aware of, like, see what questions they can expect. Okay, I will also show you what are the few questions, and how we can prepare the students for the role play, as well as the topic conversation, which is always based on those 5 topic areas. I will also show you. And what are the 5 topic areas, because all the 4 papers will be always based on those 5 topic areas. And whereas the paper 4, it is the writing, you have totally, 3 questions. So the first one, it is more of like, just like a starter they give, where they have to fill the form, and which is for 5 marks. And the second one, it is they give a very simple passage to write, at least where they have to write for 60 to 80 words at least. And the second one, it is little tougher. Okay, so where at least they have a choice between 2 topics, and they will also give them some questions, maybe some points at least, where they can expand on those points. So the third part, it is more of like, letter writing, or writing an email, or writing an article, or a blog. Yeah. So these are the 4 papers, and let me just show you one by one. Okay. Before I get into that, these are the 5 topic areas. So we need to be, just prepare the students based on those 5 topic areas. What are those? The first one, you have, like, it's about the everyday activity. And the second topic area, where it is where you talk about the home life and school, life at home, life at school, and about the food, the health and fitness, everything comes under that, the first topic area. The second topic area, it is about the personal and social life. they'll be asked to talk about their about themselves, about their family, about their friends, about their pet animals, and about the holidays and special occasions. And the third topic area, it is they have to talk about the world around them. Like it is, they have to talk about the city where they live, or about their local area, the community. And they may ask to talk about the environment, about the people, places, the countries that they have visited or they love to visit, and the culture, the customs, all those things. And the fourth topic area, it is about the world of work, what they will do after the studies in school, like where they are going to pursue their education, in which country, in which university, in which field, what are the type of jobs they will take up, what are the languages they would like to learn, and why, how can they use these languages and to communicate at the workplace as well as around them. And same way in the fifth topic area, it is the international world. They talk about the tourism at home, at abroad, life in other countries and communities, and world events. So these are the 5 topic areas you needed to prepare the students. So because all the 4 papers will be centered on, or it will be all around, based on these 5 topic areas. Okay, now coming back to this speaking. So I say, like, let me just give you an, in detail, like, see, first of all, in what they expect, first of the examiners, the Cambridge, it is always, they want, the examiners to create a supportive atmosphere, okay, to encourage the students to speak. So first, at least we have to make sure the students are comfortable. So what we usually do, we can, before we start recording, okay, before we start this, at least we can just make them feel comfortable. We can ask them, is everything's fine? How are you? How was the day today? Like, how do you feel today? Just ask some questions. It is not to be assessed. So you have, like, see, then you can just tell them, like, also make sure you let them know they have 10 minutes to prepare and they can't write anything. You just, we give them the card, okay, because there are totally 9 the role play cards are there. So you can choose one card and you can tell them to prepare outside. So they get 10 minutes for preparation, and they can just come inside. When they come inside, you can, just ask some 1 or 2 casual questions, and then you can start with, once we start, we can't stop because it is for 10 minutes. Even if it goes, see, if it is less than 10 minutes also, it's okay. Even if it is crossed 1 or 2 minutes, like, it is fine. But usually the 10-minute, it is has to be, like, say, for example, if the role play lasts, less than 2 minutes, you don't have to ask any extra questions. We stick to only those 5 questions that should be asked in a role play. Or if the role play, lasts more than 2 minutes, because it depends on each candidate. We don't know, like, see, some they take time at least in answering. We can't force them. We should not. And we just allow them to, express themselves, and we wait for them. If they don't answer, then we can go to the next topic, next question. Same. So don't reduce the time. See, if I'm taking more time for role play, we are not going to, just reduce the time allotted for the topic conversation. So if the topic conversation lasts only for 3.5 minutes or less, you can ask 1 or 2 extra questions, something relevant to the theme that we have chosen. So the same thing goes for the second one. So usually they have given, 2 minutes for the role play and 4 minutes for the first topic conversation. And for the second topic conversation, you have 4 minutes. Now, these are the things I have just mentioned. Like, so you have, like, 2 minutes at least for role play. You have 4 minutes for topic conversation and 4 minutes for the topic conversation number 2. So you can have a greeting, it is which is not to be assessed, and you have a preparation time of 10 minutes. Okay. So before, I need to start my speaking, see, if I want to give them practice, at least you can give them practice with this. Like, you need we need an instruction booklet. Okay, we need a copy of the mark schemes, how the marking it is being done. And you need a timer or a clock at least to record, and also a recording equipment, and of course the list of candidates and the candidate card, and for marking you need a pen and a very quiet room for the preparation, and also we need a very quiet room for the speaking. Okay, so now for these are the preparation, like us, we teachers, at least we have to prepare ourselves before the speaking test. We need to go through all the guidelines which is given in the handbook, Cambridge handbook, and about what we need to do, and how we need to record, and all those things, like what are the topics we can cover, and what are the themes they have chosen for each exam. Like usually you have 2 exams a year. Okay, so one, it is in March. You have one exam, like that is, or sometimes like May, or see, it depends on that, March as well as May, June. The other one, it is in October, November. So every exam, at least they will have give them the different themes, at least what you need for speaking. Okay, so you need to go through the handbook beforehand, so that you are not like just go there and just you are you don't know what to do. So, and on the day of exam, at least this is what we usually do, so that the reason we are giving you, so that you just get an idea, so that you can prepare the students accordingly. Okay, so just tell the candidate, you have to give the candidate card, that is the role play card, you have to give them beforehand, and tell them they have 10 minutes to prepare, and tell the students not to write anything during the preparation time. They need to just mentally, they have to get ready for that, and they will be monitored. Of course, there are the supervisors, like who will just keep an eye on them, and they can take the card with them inside the hall. Okay, and they can use it during the examination. Okay, and what we need to do, like when we record, you have to you have to say who you are, the name of the examiner, the candidate name, the card number they have chosen, card number, whether it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the date of exam. We have to record all this, and then you can start the timer or the clock, and you can start recording, so that you can keep a track for each person. Yeah, so that is up to the speaking. So during the speaking exam, we can't stop halfway through. So if I start, I needed to finish that 10 minutes. So I can't, like see, if wait, always allow the students to express themselves. In case if they cannot, just wait on, just you can wait for a few seconds, and then you can just move to the next question. And you can't give them any prompts over here. You can't help them. You can't write in a paper and say, like, please say that. No, we have to be really fair, because we are being monitored every time. So you just prepare the exam. Is the students also, just ask them to relax before they enter the hall. And some of them, what happens, like, they won't even look into the eyes of the examiner, because they are not very confident. They always look down. So that shows that, at least the body language shows them they are not very confident. So what you can do, just take time before you start the exam, just ask them some casual questions. How are you? How was the other exams? Okay, if you don't want to ask, you can just ask casually, is everything's fine with you? You need water? You need any help? Do you know how it is goes on? What are the different patterns? You can just do that, and then you can start, so that they also feel little comfortable, because it is not easy for them to face an examiner, at least and answer those questions for 10 minutes. Yeah, so that's one. Now the second part, like see, when it comes to the reading, okay, so we have different questions are there. Okay, because one of the things, like see, you don't have any exercise on grammar. So how do I prepare? I need to teach them the essential grammar, but we needed to give them more of vocabulary that is based on those 5 topic areas, so that they need to, understand what it is given there. So the first one, it is more of they give some pictures, ask them to match them. They have to choose the best answer. So they will have some different options. It is MCQ. And the second one, that is for 5 marks. And the second one, it is they have to look at different signboards, and there are some questions below that. So they need to choose the correct answer again. So that is easy for them. Like it is, they always start with a little easier one. So that's for 5 marks. And then they'll get some 3 different comprehension passages. The first comprehension passage, it is very simple. Like, that is the débutant, niveau débutant, like where they will just, read the passage and choose the best answer. And the second one, what we call it as like, see, little higher, so where they have to be little careful how they do that. Yeah. And also they have one more question at least, see, where they have to look at some of the pictures and statements, and some definitions are also given. They give some statements and some definitions. They need to match for the concerned person. Say, for example, they may say like, Pierre, he wants to buy a dictionary. Okay. And they may say like another statement would be that they needed to just make sure and what the person wants, and they have to just match them according to that, those statements and the description. So, and the last comprehension passage, it will be little advanced, where they may take it from an, a magazine, or, they may just take it from a news article at least, where this will be little difficult, because whereas most of the other questions, it's of MCQ type, the last one they may have to answer. Even if they answer in a word, if the answer is correct, yes, mark will be given. Or if they just answer in a sentence, it's fine. And, see, because they were more considerate, like, compared to Indian curriculum, they will be very harsh on grammar. But here, it is more about understanding, like, so if the student has understood, and if they have taken an effort, so the marks will be considered. So they will just see whether the student has written that answer correctly. If they have written any other extra words, at least their focus will be on that. They have written the correct answer, whether it is in a word or, 1 or 2 words. Even if they don't make a proper sentence, it's fine. Okay. So the third one, in the listening, you find these are the questions. The first, passage, you will have a very short dialogues. Okay. And they have to choose almost all the questions. It's it's a multiple choice. And the first, question, it will be first listening passage. It's more of like, see, you are in a platform, or you are in an, in your friend's house, or you are in a, Paris or someplace, at least, they will have a simple conversations. Okay. So that it is easy for them to choose. Because always in all these 4 papers, like they will start with an easier one. Okay. So, and then slowly, at least, you will see the level increases. And when it comes to the question number 9 to 14, it's more of like, they will listen to some conversations, like where some information about a place or about a restaurant, or it happens in a restaurant or in a shop. Okay. So where they have to listen to it, and they have to just choose the correct answer. It's again MCQ type. Okay. And say, for example, 15 and to 19, again, it will be a conversation between 2 people. Okay. Here I have just pulled out some of the topics that's been asked in, this year in May, June. Okay. So it is a conversation between 2 persons about the menu, and, and so they have to just like, listen to that, and they have to choose the correct statement or correct answer. Fine. And if you take like, the question number 20 to 28, they will have 2 interviews. So here comes the level will be little higher. The first few listening passages will be little simpler ones. So here comes little higher level, like, where they listen to an interview. Okay. So they have to listen to that, and they have to choose the best answer. And okay, so first part, it is always they split this into two parts. Like first part, they play the interview for twice, and then they can say what they can do. First time, at least they can try answering, let's say, question number 20, 21, and 22. And second time when they listen, they can just answer the rest of them, because sometimes they may not able to follow the entire conversation. So at least they can, so that's one way, at least they can listen to it second time and pick out. Okay, and same way, the second part they will start, it will be the 25 to 28, where they will hear another interview, and they have to listen to it twice, and they can answer. Yeah, even question number 29 to 34, it is an interview which will be little higher level, and so again, they'll have time to answer. So from question number 20 to 37 till the end, it's more of interviews, like so you can prepare them accordingly, like just make them listen to some of the interviews. You can prepare your own questions based on that, or if you want, you have those sample papers, like you can take for the last few years sample papers, and you can just prepare accordingly. Yeah, so this is for listening. And when it comes to paper four, it is the writing. Like you have totally three questions. So the first one, it'll be like fill up. So you need to fill in the details. Like, a form will be given. You have to fill the details, the name and the address, the nationality, phone number, and all those. That's easy. That's for 5 marks. The second part, it is like, again, I pulled out one topic. It is being asked in 2024. It is so they have to talk about a member in their family whom they like. So they will give some pointers over here. 5 pointers will be there. So they have to, just write on these points. So they have, it will be, they have to write some 80 to 90 words. What you can do, like when we prepare them, like, we give them these pointers as well for preparation. So they can just write about, they can describe the person first, and they can say like what he or she loves to do during free time, and whether they can also say like whether you can get along with that person, and why and why not. Okay, so at least they can able to write, and then they can talk about something like, because here they are testing all the three tenses, like past, present, and future. So in the writing, it is always they have to use the tenses properly. So you can even say like what you would like to do for the next birthday of this person. So they have to cover all these 5 points in their answer. So it has to be 80 to 90 words. If they go beyond that, it is okay, but not too much. At least they have to respect this word, at least maximum, I would say, like maybe 100 words, not more than that. So they need to write somewhere between 80 to 100 words. So the third part, it is you have a choice between two topics. Like, see, this is one topic it is being asked this year, like, they have to write about the new house. Okay, so they are writing it in the form of a letter. So again, there are 5 pointers are there. They have to give details about the region where they live, and before they shifted, where they where were they residing before, and explain why their parents would like to shift, and what are the advantages, and why are they happy or unhappy. Okay, are they happy or unhappy, like of this change, and describe what you like to do when you are 25 years old or 30 years old. Okay, so here it is testing all those three tenses again, like past, present, and future. So, or they have a choice. So what you can advise them, they can always go through these two topics and choose what they feel it is the easiest one, so that before they start writing, they can just decide on the topic, and then they will always have a blank page in their answer script, because for them to do all the rough work, they can just write it
Hi,
in a
Stephen,
pencil.
can you open the door?
So you can always, like, just they can always write in their blank page some of these points at least. So they can arrange them so that they can write down a few points. so that they can arrange them in paragraph. Okay, so that when they take the fair copy, it will be perfect. So they have to, answer these points first. They can take at least 5 to 10 minutes at least for them to analyze what they're going to write, and what is the first point they are going to write on, second point, third point, fourth and fifth, and then when they transfer them into the answer script, at least when they take the fair copy, so that it will be neat, without any overwriting. Okay, so again here it is marks always will be given for the effort that they put in, like see the vocabulary they use, the even though if they cannot express themselves really well in French, but the effort they have put in carries mark. So that's what we need to encourage them to use more vocabulary. And of course they needed to have a command over the tenses, at least how to use passé composé or imparfait or futur, or even if it is whether they are using futur proche or futur simple, or if they want to use any other tenses, they can just they need to be sure of how to use it. Yeah. So let me just leave you with few useful expressions you can always use. We call it as like the A-star phrases. Like you we always like the examiners would like to see more of these adverbs or these expressions in the sentence. Like I have given only a very few, but it's a very vast, very big, vast list actually. So you can go through that. You can just they cannot they don't have to use all these expressions in the writing, no, at least a few of them. And also they need to use something like the double verbs. Okay, so even if I say je voudrais or je veux acheter, like say il faut aller, so something like two verbs, they can always try encourage them to use it in the writing. And also just ask them to express themselves in past, like see using imparfait, passé composé, or if you want to use any other tense, like so encourage them to use and see, one of the ways what we usually do it is we give them a topic, and maybe you can, if you go through the last few the papers, sample papers, you will get an idea like how what are the different topics they have been using all these years. And so you can ask them to write a small maybe on the, if I want to work on writing, like let's say the third question. So if they are asking me about to write about the new place where I have shifted, so what you can ask them to do it is you can ask them to write one paragraph, and about the new place first, and then the next paragraph they can talk about the old the house and the locality and all those. So they can, you can then you can even ask them to write the third paragraph about like what where they would like to live in future. Okay, which country, and why. They can just write that, and then they can just arrange them together, so that they can uh, one other way also what you can do, like see, first they can do this, and I will, well, first we'll check the papers and give it back to them with all the feedback. And we ask the students, like say, if can you go back to this passage and just try to change, can you rewrite, like if you have to rewrite, how will you do that? What are the things you would like to add? So in that way, what you can do, like you can just encourage them to just like you don't condemn them, but you can always tell them, at least there is a, if you want to improve, what are the different ways you can do it, like what are the the adverbs that you would like to use, or what are the other expressions you would like to use. And so if they will also get a chance at least to rewrite, to get back to that and say how they can improve. Yeah. And what you can also do, like you can prepare these as a maybe if you, I'll just show you, maybe you can always prepare them, like for the different topics that they have. You can just give them some questions like this based on what they have already done, like this. See, I pulled out all these some of the topics that's been asked in the past years. So what you can do, you can just give them these topics and these the pointers. So you can ask them to write for 80 to 90 words. Okay, so let them describe the room, about the the internship, or they have done, how they have spent the holidays, or so first I'll prepare all these, like the first um, the passage, at least the writing part, it is for 80 to 90 words. And then you can ask them to write the second part. You can give them all the emails, articles, the blogs, what are the different topics that's been asked, so that they get an idea at least how to, and so that they don't feel uh, you know uh, go into the exam hall. At least they'll have the confidence of what to write and how to write it. Yeah, so even if they have asked them on a different topic, it is okay, they can still manage, they know to write on the given topic. Yeah. So these are a few things, like I would like to, just you to focus on, so that it becomes easy, actually, so that for the students, our job it is to prepare the students for the exam, so that they do well and they all get A star. And also, like of course, there are two type of one, it is the grades, at least we call it as the IGCSE 0520, that is the grades, as well as the other one, at least it comes with the marks, like they give you mark, at least instead of the grades, they give on a points 1 to 9. So both have the same paper only, and whether it is the speaking or reading or listening and all this, it's the same paper for both. Whether they are they are doing the grades, or whether they want the points system. Okay. Okay. So with that, this is a little presentation from both of us, and if you have any questions, feel free. Thank you. And there is one question, I think, see, actually IGCSE, GCSE, and EdXL, it's a 3 different exams. Their patterns are slightly different. Yeah, if you take, for example, like, EdXL, the paper pattern, it's different. And of course, GCSE also, like, so even IGCSE, it is completely different. The paper pattern, even speaking, writing, and all those, it's completely, the patterns are different. But all these are the UK, of course, I think it is, I know there are in each school, at least some students, they opt for GCSE, some students opt for IGCSE, some students opt for EdXL as well, because they find EdXL, it's easier compared to the other two. For audio practice, what you can do, you can one of the sites you can always have papacambridge.com. It is that's which has all the past papers, or you can also use the Delph. The sites, at least resources that for or you can use as Keba said, like maybe Tevesank or RFE resources. You can use it.
लग रहा है खत्म होने वाला होगा तो मम्मी कंप्लीट डालो क्या हुआ
Come again.
Hello. So thank you very much. The information is very helpful. Is it possible to send the links which were discussed now during the call? The links related, yeah. And also myself, I'm Ramya. Basically, I'm a freelancer and I'm taking classes for students at Europe and Canada as well. So I would also like to know about the IGCSE certification for teachers. If I could get, is there any certifications which can be done for teachers specifically?
Yeah, because actually the Cambridge, they conduct workshops and they do workshops on different domains. Like, say, for example, is of course for professional, development. They do a workshop on how to evaluate papers, and different for workshops are there. Like, maybe what you can do, they do for each subject. So there is an maybe they do for French also, but again, you may have to just go through their website. If you can just register in the website, so that they keep you informed, like, so when is that workshop, it is there. So these workshops, sometimes it happens for 2 days or for a week or for 2 weeks, where they take us in detail, if it is on marking. Like, for example, like, see, last year, I think there was a workshop on marking, like how to mark French papers. So they will take you through, like, each paper, like, how to mark the reading paper, how to mark the writing, as well as, how do we do the speaking and the listening and all those. They take us through, and you get a certification also from them, issued by Cambridge.
Thank you.
Usually all the exams, no, not all the exams on the same day. It will be conducted on a different day, because speaking on a different day, listening will be conducted on a different day. It depends on each country at least, and each region, they will schedule the exams according to their, so it will be on a different days. You will have exams in the morning as well as exam in the afternoon as well, but again, it will be clubbed together with the other papers as well. So usually in our country, at least in Kuwait, that is, the speaking exams are mostly conducted on a Saturday. Okay, so thank you all. Okay, so if you have any questions,
I would like to deliver the vote of thanks.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, Ms. Sound. Yeah.
Yes. I'm Soundarya, alumni of Madurai Kamaraj University. I take this opportunity to extend my heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed guests, Madam Sudha, Mr. Jaikar, Mr. Kiba, for this wonderful webinar on IGCSE Cambridge French. I thank also the participants for their presence today and making this event successful.